Hi, welcome to my channel, See Mary Make, and in today's video I am making a miniature Christmas stocking, and I'm using them for teachers' gifts. So I just sketched this little, what's supposed to look like a little elf's shoe out on a sheet of paper, and now I'm going to pin it to my fabric all the way around. So while I'm pinning it, I'm going to tell you what you need, which isn't very much. You need 2 different fabrics, one for the lining and one for the outside. Preferably like cotton or cotton blends, flannel, something like that. Something not too heavy. I mean, you could probably use like a fleece or something like that too. It would just be a little bulkier and you'd lose a little space. But of course you'll need sewing pins and scissors and a sewing machine with thread. And I think that's about it. And whatever you're gonna put inside of these. I mean, they're pretty small when they're done. You'll see when I stuff this at the end because not too much fits in it, and it's full after I stuff it. So now I'm just cutting right around my pattern all the way around, and at the curly like toe part, I'm just gonna follow it. I'm gonna cut right in there and cut a line kind of right through the curl. It's a little bit difficult getting scissors that big in there, but it works. So you're also going to cut out your lining the same way. And you want to make sure that you're cutting out 2 pieces. And when you're cutting them, make sure either the right sides are together or the wrong sides are together. Just make sure it's folded in half. So now I'm just pinning my outer lining or my outer fabric together just down the sides and bottom of the foot into the toe, not the top of it. The top needs to stay open. And so I just pin it all the way around. I know I kind of stick a lot of pins in for something so small, but I just want to make sure it's secure. Because I've had issues with things like slipping and sliding in the past, and you end up with like crooked seams or things that aren't lined up, and I don't want that to happen. So now I'm going to pin the lining that way too. And if I didn't mention it, you need to pin it together with the right sides together on both of them. So the wrong side needs to be to the outside. So now I'm pinning this too, but on the side of this leading down to the hill, I'm going to leave about a 3 to 4 inch spot open. Probably closer to 3 inch spot open. And I'm just double pinning at the beginning and end of that opening because it just helps to remind me when I'm sewing and I see it, oh, I need to stop here. Because if I don't do that, I won't stop on it. I'll just sew right over it, and then I'll realize when I like go to put it together, oh, I made a mistake. I have to take it apart and redo it. So once those are both pinned, leaving the tops open on both of them, you can go ahead and sew them. So here I'm just starting on my machine on a straight stitch with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I am going to back stitch every time I start and every time I end, always, because that keeps it from unraveling. So I'm just going to follow the side all the way down to the toe and do a little like curl right around it. And I will say this was a little difficult the first couple times. This was the very first one I did, and I've made a couple of them now. Still got a few more to make. I'm making like 6 in total. But you get better at it as you do it. The more you do it, the better you get. And you don't have to draw your stocking in this shape. I just thought it would be cute to do like an elf shoe. Kind of. At least that's what it reminds me of. You can sketch it just like a regular stocking, which is much easier as far as the sewing around the toe part goes. But I think the look of this was definitely worth the little bit of extra work I had to put in there going around the toe. Definitely worth it. So I'm pulling my pins out as I go for the most part, because I just, like, a lot of people sew over them, and I used to too, but I break a ton of needles on my sewing machine doing that somehow. So I just try to remember to just take the time to slow down and grab the needle and pull it out. So now I'm nearing my spot where I've double pinned, which is where I need to stop for the opening. So I'm going to backstitch a few times there and pull out to give the thread a little bit of slack. I'm going to put it back in at a 1/4 inch again, backstitch at the second set of double needles, and keep going to the edge and backstitch there as well. Now that that's done, I'm going to trim all my thread off, and now I'm going to sew the outer fabric together, which is the same process except without the stopping to leaving the edge open, because this one's just staying together all the way around the sides. So that toe, a little bit problematic for me, but I got it eventually. And it looked better than the like the stitch here looked less crooked than the first one I did, and then like I said, with each one I did, it got a little better. And something I've done on both of these is I'm lifting the foot up here and there around the toe to help pivot and turn. You just make sure your needle is down through the fabric when you do that, because if not, you're going to end up accidentally pulling it out to some weird spot, and it's going to look, the stitch is going to look messed up. But so I'm just going all the way along the heel now and up the side. So next I'm going to move on to turning. Well, no, first I'm going to trim the curved edges, which is pretty much all the way from like the toe area through the heel. It's pretty much toe, well, all the way along the bottom of the little stocking. And of course that toe is a little bit hard to turn, so I'm going to use the bottom of an ink pen that I had laying close to me. Usually I use like a chopstick, but I didn't want to get up and get one, so that was there. You can use like a dowel too. I think they actually make a little tool to turn it with, but I just use stuff I have around the house. Why spend extra money on something that isn't really that much different than things I have already? So now they've turned that all the way right side out. Now I'm going to clip the lining too, just like I did the other one, all the way from the heel up around the toe part. Just clip all the curvy parts need to be clipped really well. Make sure you don't clip into your stitching though, because if not, you're gonna have to redo it. Now I'm leaving the lining wrong side out with right sides in, and I'm sticking the outer fabric inside the lining with my right sides out. And now you're going to pin all along the top of the stocking. Just pin all that together. And when you put the outer fabric inside the lining here, it doesn't have to be perfect at the bottom. You just kind of shove it in there. It doesn't have to line up or anything, because we're going to turn the whole thing when we're done sewing the top together. I'm sorry if you can hear those noises. My cat is on top of me right now, purring really loud and making like sniffing noises and stuff. She has allergies. She kind of sneezes a lot. So now I'm sewing the top together, and you just want to make sure that you get a good point where the stocking comes to a point at the top. So if you need to, just go end it there, go right off all the way to the edge, and then start back again. But what I did was I got up there, and so here I'm back stitching here a little bit so that I can lift the foot and pivot and turn and still have it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance to go down the other side of the top of the cuff or the top of the stocking. And once you get completely done with this part, make sure to back stitch at the end now. But once you get done with this, then you get to turn it right side out, which is like my favorite part of doing something like this because you really get to see your results. So here I am, I'm going to trim the thread off first. And then I'm going to pull the outer layer of stocking through the hole in the lining. And then I'm going to turn the lining right side out as well. I'm going to use my bottom of my ink pen again to push the toe out all the way. And then, once I do that, which I didn't do a good job at it, you need to finger press the seams before you close up the hole in the lining, which I've just pinched it together and been pinning it, and I'm just going to run it right through my sewing machine close to the edge, less than a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to get 1/8 of an inch seam on this. And something I forgot to do is clip my corners on the inside of my stocking before I turned it. That will help it, kind of like how I clipped the curves, just clip the corners off at the top of the stocking so that it has a better point at the top after you've put it all together. So now now that I've closed up that hole in the lining, I'm shoving the lining down into the outer portion of the stocking, and I'm going to use my ink pen to push the toe up in there too. And now, because I realized I didn't finger press my seams or clip my corner, I'm using a sewing pin to sticking it right down into the seam, like under the threads a little bit, and I'm just gently pulling up to pop those seams out all the way, and I'm pinning as I do it so that it holds it in place until I iron it in place, which I will do next after I pin the whole top of it, apparently. It's this project was pretty easy and has such a cute outcome. Alright, now I'm going to iron my stocking flat. Push in there, make sure everything's pushed in correctly. And I'm going to iron it again, and then I will pull my pins out. And then I will fold the very top of the cuff of the stocking down to make like a little cuff, and iron that flat as well. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and stuff some stuff in here. I've got some stir-in melt-away Santas that make cocoa. And I've also got a candy cane and a peppermint spoon. The stir-away Santas were $1 at Walmart. Candy canes were like $1 for a pack of, I don't know how many, like 12 or something like that, 10 or 12. And then the peppermint spoons I got at the Dollar Tree, $1 for 6 of them. And this is the finished product. I think it's really cute, and I can't wait for my kids to gift them to their teachers. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and maybe it gives you some ideas or shows you how easy a little project like this is. And it's so it's such a personal thing because you made it yourself. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, please, and like my video. Bye.